bar to stick as far as really improving your life and your output is that you have to feel like you are doing the right thing in life. If you're not on a path that feels right to you, the first things will probably improve your life for a while, but if you don't use that increased energy to straighten out the rest of your life, you will likely regress. So how do you connect your current pursuits with your highest values? I'll go over in a second how to identify your highest values. But to connect them, so say that you have a highest value of freedom and you really want to travel. And currently you're in a job that you don't particularly like, but you have to work at it for a while to be able to afford traveling. So in that sort of case, what you want to be remembering is that you are doing this job to get you the ability to travel. And you want to keep that connection in your mind so that you can be inspired even if you're not doing something in the moment you particularly like, because you know it's leading you toward what you want to be doing. So how do I determine what I really want? You can ask questions until you run out of answers and get to a terminal goal, starting from what you know is the highest goal that you have. So for example, some of the highest goals people tend to identify are, I want to get married, I want to have a great job, I want to have kids, right? So let's look at one of those. Say I want to get married. Why do I want to get married? Well, maybe I want to, feel connection. Maybe I want the sort of security that I imagine that marriage would bring me. So those are more examples of terminal goals because, for one, they're not concrete. A terminal goal is usually a desire that can be fulfilled in many different ways. So some examples of terminal goals are desiring freedom, desiring connection, desiring just to feel good, desiring to contribute to the world in a way that feels significant. So you can try to ask the questions way to get to what yours are. And another way to figure out what your terminal goals and values are is look at inspirations such as role models and big experiences. So with role models, as long as it's someone who you actually admire and not someone who you think you should be like, it doesn't matter whether they're past, present, or imaginary. All that matters is that you admire them. And what you do is you write out a few lines or a paragraph about what it is you admire about them. And after you do that, you go and kind of circle the values. So I'm going to give you an example. Say that I admire Richard Feynman. And what I admire about him is his creativity, his genius, and his persistence. So I would circle those in my writing. And I would look at him and some peak experiences and maybe some other role models. And then once I had looked at all the values I've listed in those, I would know that those are my values. Because when I admire something in someone else, that's because I am drawn to that trait. And that really is a pointer at who I want to be. So that way you can align your life toward where you are expressing those traits. And last point on this, if you have difficulty doing this on your own, this is a good sort of thing to work with a life coach on, such as myself. We're experts on doing this. Okay, last strategy. Addressing external energy sinkholes. So what do I mean by that? External energy sinkholes are people, organizations, or even pets or things that you put more energy into than you get back. So an example of this at work, say that you have a needy coworker, and no matter if you're kind of emotionally caretaking them, and no matter how much you do this, they always want more, and you always feel obligated. Another example, say you have a really mean boss that yells at you, and no matter what you do, this boss is never going to be satisfied, and they're always going to want to vent at you. That's a couple examples. So the deal with people who end up putting their energy into external energy sinkholes is that they're prone to doing it. I refer to these emotional funnels. So no matter what they get, whether it's, feeling a little more energy and healthier, or money, or any sort of resource, they always tend to give it away. And the way to fix this is to see the value in yourself, right? If you're the sort of person who is always giving away your value, then that means you're the sort of person who's actually trying to make the world better, and that's good. People who are depressed and anxious, at least in the first world countries, they tend to have enough in their lives that most people around the world would love to have, and yet they're still anxious and depressed. And I love an example. I heard Eckhart Tolle talking once about how he was ecstatic living as a monk because of his great mental state. So you really don't need anything to feel good. And if you're feeling bad when you have things, that's because you are desiring more in life. Like, maybe you're a transhumanist and you want to live forever. So it's important to remember that and to connect with that you value yourself for wanting more and for striving for more, and to feel good about that. Something that people who are depressed often they're emotionally caretaking someone around them and don't realize that that's hurting them. So that's how codependent relationships work. If you have someone who's an emotional funnel, they might not think they're actually doing anything, like I'm laying around all day, what am I doing? But in truth, they're often emotionally supporting their partner and, being the wind under their partner's wings. And when you are someone who does that and you realize it, then you can change your behavior and be the wind under your own wings and start internalizing your efforts until you're feeling good and you can put your energy into your own pursuits. So if you've been doing that, it's important to appreciate yourself for it, and that even though you feel like you haven't been doing anything, you've probably been contributing to other people's lives. And you don't want to ask them to validate you, because they're not going to want to, right? They're not going to say, oh yeah, you're responsible. That's not useful. However, you want to at least acknowledge to yourself that your emotional caretaking probably has been valuable for that person, and that you want to start putting your energy toward your own things. So that's the end of my 5 strategies. Recap them here. So positive mental attitude, good sleep, diet, supplements, exercise, and other physical methods, goal setting with highest aspirations, and addressing external energy signals. And let's do one more. This is just a reminder there. Positive reinforcement system is more productive. And if you're interested in learning more, please have a look at my table in the back for information about future talks I'm doing and individual consultations. And you can also sign up to have my slides from this talk emailed to you. Thank you. And are there any questions?